Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Trash Told You. I am the burnt Trash Told You, the very burnt Trash Told You. Or I get some Trash now, whatever you may think. I don't know, but yes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be talking about some geek news and stuff like that today. But yes, this is Trash Told You, your usually weekly stop by me to come talk about some geek news. Whether the good thing is if we haven't had a GeekVerse news because we're so busy, I get to spout off. Maybe there's some topics that they don't want to talk about, I spout off. Maybe there's some stuff I need to rant about that I don't want to burden them with. Whatever it is, you get to be in my mind for about an hour. So it's probably about the scariest podcast in the world. But as you can see, so I had a great day. Oh man, I had a great day. Let's see, right as I was going to start watching a new show, there's new TTY. I says, well, I appreciate it very much. You can always, watch the show and come back. Luckily, it's a podcast, and who knows, maybe stuff I'm talking about you don't like. I don't know. So I appreciate you being in there. Man, the chair, this man was listening to some GeekVerse during, what were you, I saw, like, what type of show was it? He's at Disney World. He Disney World, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because you're in Florida. And he had the side quest feed out. That's a man and commitment and stuff like that. But speaking of it, felt like I was in Florida, because as you can see, now with the long hair, it blends it. If you're on the video version, look at this line. This is the line where my hairline falls, so it's always protected. That's how white it is. And if I go back, not too bad, but like, look at this. Oh my god. Yeah, I got great day. One of like top tier day today of my year, maybe life. It was just one of these things where we had soccer with my second, and they changed fields, and this time they changed field where the water park, and we're like, oh, let's just go there, for a dip and stuff. But then my mom came to watch her, and my aunt came, who I haven't seen in a while, and we literally spent the entire day there. I had so much stuff I was supposed to get done. There's still a bunch of stuff over there that we haven't unpacked, but it was just one of those days where, and I was thankful for Taylor Field, thankful for Madison that she hasn't had her baby yet, because I didn't have to go back on the, I wanted to be on the Xbox One, but it was already going during soccer and stuff. But yes, go check out the Xbox Showcase. I'm halfway through it. Very good cast. I'm excited for Starfield, but Dylan's excitement has got me even more excited for it. And I'm not like a Bethesda guy, but his excitement's like, okay, I'm getting really excited. But anyways, thank you to Taylor and Dylan, because I literally said we were gonna leave like 2 or 3, like, oh, why? Let's just stay in. But we forgot sunscreen. Look at my skin here. I fucking got roasted there. Don't want to show the nips and get demonetized and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was a little bit of a mistake. It was one of those days where it was like really cloudy and it was supposed to storm and it didn't. But no, it was just one of these days where I was like, okay, I gotta do this more. Especially with, I think we all get that way, right? With busy lives and stuff. Even with friends, there's so many friends where it's like, oh, we gotta get lunch, and then some things come up, and then it's like months later, like, oh man, it's just like, especially just like lately, especially, everyone knows not everyone, but my grandmother passed away last month. It's all good. She's older, had a good life, but it's one of these things like, oh, I gotta make more time to do these big family things, because you never know when they can't be. So it was a great day. So I hope everyone else has had a great weekend. Asbub says, was at the Little Mermaid clamshell ride by myself because I was with 2 other people and they could only take 2 people per show. Oh man, that's the worst. At least you made the best of it, but that sucks. I understand that pressure. Yeah, that really, really sucks. But at least it's just like one ride, right? But I that's the worst when you're up there and you're like, oh, maybe they will let us, maybe they won't. What's the situation? Stuff like that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen. So this is now, I think this is where I'm going to be. Maybe I might end up angling more me to the side here, because I don't like this door in the shop, but this is where we're going to be the new podcast room. It is a bit smaller than my last one, but so there's like less versatility with the shot. But as we talked about in After 9 one, like the room I was in, I was not using a lot of the room. I had a treadmill, which I gave away. I had since I was 16, and I still use it, but it's like I go to the gym now and stuff like that. So it's a smaller one, so less angles, but I think, eventually I'll get some artwork up there. But I like this corner, but yeah, this is where it is. So I'll listen back to it. Let me know. I'm in a new room. Not sure if it's going to be echoey or what that may be. So if there's any audio issues for live people or in the past, let me know, and I'll kind of change it around, stuff like that, because it's the first time in here. You've seen me in the other room, but this is going to be the full-time room and stuff like that. The kitchen's not too far away, so I'm like, can walk on me mid-cast, so I'm talking about anything dirty, she's gonna look at me. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good weekend. Sorry this was a late one. This is kind of going into, I guess, kind of technically you could say there was no Trash Told You last week because this is on the Monday. The plan's always to do weekly, but with the upcoming June, July, it's going to be tough, especially with Secret Invasion. If Secret Invasion wasn't happening, which is happening in 2 weeks, I would easily say weekly. That's the goal, but lots of stuff coming out and everything like that. So especially weeks where we got like Oppenheimer and Barbie, and I was looking at next week. It's like, well, I'm not reviewing Extraction 2, but it's like Flash, Extraction 2, which yeah, like I said, I won't review. But then you have Black Mirror, which I think me and Dylan, I haven't confirmed with Dylan, I think we'll be reviewing and stuff like that. So that's kind of thing. If there's a lot more reviews that pop up, Travis told you maybe a shorter version, or might just not happen. I'll try and say in advance, and it meant to this week, but just lots of stuff came up. But yeah, check out the feeds, lots of good stuff. Dylan's doing a lot of side quest coverage with a lot of guys. I was on there for the Summer Games Fest one. Taylor's on there for the Xbox Showcase. I'm on tomorrow for the Ubisoft one. Yeah, the return of Drake Strachan. I think that's how you say his name. Yeah, I didn't really love Extraction. Is actually his name Drake Strachan? You're probably fucking with me. But if it is, oh no. I liked it enough. I think I know people might go like, why would you have issues with the story in that? It's not it's not that I need the story to be amazing. It's just that sometimes it was so dumb, especially the last 15 minutes when they kind of do some near-death stuff when I went, okay, I kind of checked out. But I like Hemsworth. I'll tune into it. So, but yeah, I'll be on there tomorrow for the Ubisoft coverage because we're getting Star Wars game footage. I'm very excited about that. His real name is Tyler Rake, I think. Okay, thank you. I was like, fuck, his name is Jake Straction. That's not good. Yeah, so side quests popping off, and then what do we got? We put up two, I guess regular review. Taylor review Transformers, check that out. And then we put up two classics, Zack Snyder's Justice League and Man of Steel in honor of the Flash, because those things are coming out. And then this week for the main feed, Indiana Jones 2 drops this week, Temple of Doom. For the Patreons, you'll be getting I think in the next 24 hours, you should be getting Last Crusade, if it's not already up. My bad. And then you'll be getting Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. There's lots of stuff going on. I think there's even one other thing this week. There'll be a Secret Invasions prediction. So lots of big stuff. If you like what you do, head down description below for everything you need to know. Links, video, audio. A big thank you to everyone that's on the Patreon. If you go in there in any feed, it doesn't matter, because if you can get us to 50 patrons, which, it's a tough task. Don't know if it's going to happen, but we really appreciate it, because also if you do it, we would unlock 5 episodes, do those extra for you guys. Lots of very fun topics. They're all the details down below. And if you can't, we completely get it. Just keep listening to the audio feeds, the YouTube feeds. We really appreciate that. So let's get into this. It's mostly just comic book news. It's a big wrap out of stuff of, I should pull up my notes here. Well, I guess it's the first one I know I'm talking about. It's a big just collection of the past week and stuff like that. So there's lots of topics actually, which is good. So let's just get right into the Batman. That's my guy. That's where I always start, right? The Batman part 2, or no, is it chapter 2? Right? It's chapter 2. That's what I said, because me and Matt were talking about it for a while. I said, everything's about the chapters nowadays, right? We had the sequels, like they just had the numbers, and then we went through that phase of, Spider-Man Homecoming, and now chapters are a big thing right now. But to me, it's not. This news isn't. There's two issues. There's like multifaceted, right? There's the reveal of, hey, this is the first time really we're hearing about a scooper saying, hey, it's Two-Face. Now, is it part 2? There's a chapter 2. I swear it's the Batman chapter 2. Or is it part 2? It is part 2. Okay. Or am I wrong? Maybe it's the other way around. Part 2, because it's like Last of Us Part 2. Whatever the popular one is, now I'm confused. The heat got to me. They went with that, and at least I called it. Now I'll make you feel like I didn't call it, but I did. There's two facets of this, right? And the scoop that's coming from is John Roca, John Roca, big fan. He hosted our charity stream last year. Big thank you. He's been nothing but a great guy to me and stuff like that when he didn't have to be. So I listened to his show, The Hot Mic. But he's not like, and he's always said, he's not like massive scooper. He's not like tip-top. Like, he's just things he's heard, right? And this past year, he's heard things more recently. I'm not sure if it's because he's tied to Snyder, if it's someone else he knows, who knows? But he had brought up, and people haven't really outright said it, but for me, why it's not surprising is the Two-Face of it all is the DA fucking dies in the Batman, right? So it's kind of like, that feels like an obvious doorstep to the DA's dead. You need a new DA. Oh, gee, do we have a Batman character that is a very popular DA? Oh, we do. So that part to me is just general, like, okay, I feel everyone like myself that thought that we're kind of I feel like Matt Reeves is putting down the breadcrumbs. We're picking them up. I get where we're going. And Harvey Dent, I think, is a interesting character to add now. I've said this many times where it's tough with the Matt Reeves universe right now because I would really, really like them to do like 6 movies, like 2 trilogies. Because I feel like he wants to tackle Joker and he wants to tackle Two-Face and all this stuff. But I'm fine with it. But I feel like a lot of people are going to feel, hey, he's just retreading what Nolan did, right? To me, to make it different, even if Two-Face is like, say, the villain of the third one, or it's Two-Face and Joker, which Joker's been rumored to be like not the main villain of part 2 at least, right? I've always said this, so I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry. I would always love if Harvey Dent was just Harvey Dent in a movie. The same way, and this is why I love the Batman. It feels like it's ripped out of my mind. For years, it's like I would love a Jigsaw like Riddler, and Matt Reeves like, I'm gonna fucking do that, and he did. I would love it one movie because the whole time, sure, some people might be disappointed, but I feel like you can really like add the groundwork. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Nolan did an excellent job with Eckhart and Harvey Dent and Two-Face. I thought for what you're going to get at 2.5 hours, that's a perfect way to do it. I think we got a lot of time with him. I'm so excited because for the first time ever, I'm going to wait till after The Flash, but I'm going to do the Dark Knight trilogy and watch the Batman. I'm going to do a double feature. I've never done the Dark Knight and the Batman every fucking week for like the Batman for like a year, for years. So that's my new favorite movie. And then I saw the Dark Knight and again, I was like, oh, fuck this movie, man. It's still something else. So, but either way, in 2.5 hours, that's a great job. I would love it if we spent a lot of time with Harvey Dent before we actually got that inevitable changing to Two-Face. So it would hurt more, so we get even a bit more context. I think that no matter what, if you have Harvey Dent and he becomes Two-Face, I don't think it's going to be like, hey, like Billy D. Williams, where he never got to become Two-Face, right? So I think he makes sense. I think he also just makes sense for the story of lots of criminals taking over. That's a solid movie night. Yeah, I'm not sure when I'm doing it. I think I'll probably do it when I have one of my vacation weeks because I want to try and do it maybe in a full day. I'm not sure. But even then, I'm going to at least do, whenever I do it might be Batman Begins, but then one night, The Dark Knight and the Batman. I know it's a weird one too, but it's just, and it's such a cop-out. Because so many people would always, what's your favorite movie? And go, oh, I can never pick. And for me, I'm like, oh, easy, Dark Knight since 2008, Dark Knight. And now I'm always like, oh, I hate that question. But I guess it's always one or the other, right? But it makes sense. All these criminals rising up, Penguin, maybe Joker, but there's a power vacuum, right? So they're going to want to take all these people out. Obviously, the DA's dead. So it just feels like a natural story point where Harvey Dent's going to go in for multiple facets. And I think it works. I think with the interactions that we saw with Gordon and the police department, Matt Reeves would do some really great stuff with Harvey Dent. So I really like that idea. And I hope we don't get the Two-Face. And that was the rumor of like, oh, he'd be, Harvey Dent, then maybe Two-Face in the third. Sure, which I always, people thought too. It's funny because there was a shot of Aaron Eckhart in the trailer of The Dark Knight. His face falls in like gas, and that kind of spoiled it. But for a long time, as an IMDb forums user back in the day, lots of people thought that was going to be the plot, that he was just going to be Harvey Dent, get burnt in this movie, and then the third be the villain. And that obviously did not happen. He just died. Even though after he died in The Dark Knight, there were so many people that said, oh, they faked his death. He's in a prison cell somewhere. Yet, for a long, long time, the lead up was, he was giving the third. And he wasn't. And he wasn't. The weird thing is with Dark Knight Rises, it plays a big role. Oh, the toy leak that also ruined the surprise Two-Face. I luckily never saw that. Now, once you saw the gasoline, you knew, okay, it's going to be him. But that's funny, a lot of stuff, those damn toys, But at the same time, Chris, remember, I don't know if you remember this, I think around BVS era, they put out a Lex in the power suit. So sometimes the toys can be wrong. So I think some people are like lying themselves. Like, he's not going to be Two-Face, like the Lex suit, obviously, that's years later. But I remember everyone going like, oh, that two Superman and Batman are going to fight, but Eisenberg never got that, which probably for the best. I like the power suit, but I think in that universe it would have maybe not played as well. Where was I going? Oh, with the third one, Rises. Yeah, that's not the problem. One of the issues I do have with Rises. Love that movie, but the whole thing should be a lot about that lie, and it's really just used as one thing to turn people against Batman and Gordon, which is true. But then it's not really talked about too much again, and I get it. It's kind of a struggle with that movie. So then how this sparked up is the reason he was putting it out there is because he had heard there was 2 choices. It's very tough for me here because one, Do I think these are true? It gun to my head, no. And that's not offense to Roka because he's gone stuff right before. I just think it's, a little early. Oh, police siren. So hopefully I don't hear that. It's a little originally we were supposed to be shooting in October, I think it was, right? And now it's looking like March next year or something like that. Or maybe it was January. I don't know. It got delayed either way, right? And I'm not sure the writer's strike. We've not learned yet what Matt Reeves' status on that script was, but I just feel these two actors might be being used as the type. The same way they are looking for like the rumor is they're looking for a Dakota Johnson type for Sue Storm. The rumor is they're looking for an Alison Brie type for She-Hulk, right? That could be how these two are floated around. So Joel Edgerton, he is the rumored for one. And obviously, if you're not a longtime listener, I will let you know that I love Joel Edgerton. I think he is, underrated, underappreciated, whatever you want to say. He's an actor that does not get talked about enough. In every movie he's in, he's good. He's usually a scene stealer. Like even that goddamn movie Blight or whatever, or Bright, that Netflix one with Will Smith, he was the best part. The Gift, man. That's a movie he co-starred in, directed. He's so good. I liked his other movie. Oh, is it Boy Escaped or Boy? It's something. It's about gay conversion camps. Really tough stuff to watch. And I think he's working on a third movie. I love him. I have to watch that Master Gardener movie that's out right now. Clay said it wasn't the greatest, but still, he's one of those guys that I will watch no matter what. He was great as Uncle Owen last year, man. Like, he's a guy that I feel like he is like Adam Driver, where I've seen him do comedy. I haven't seen him, I guess he really do like a rom-com, but I feel like I could see him do that. He's just a Swiss Army knife. He can do so much. He can be a lovable lead. He can be that, best friend. He can be like the non-trustable friend. He can be the villain. Everything that goes into Harvey Dent, he could be. And I think a good example, I didn't love the movie overall. I was disappointed by it. Well, I was disappointed more with the third act. I liked the movie. It was, oh God, what was that movie that Johnny Depp did about Whitey Bulger? Oh man, he had the prosthetic. Someone tell me in the chat if you can. If not, you're not on my laptop. I'm just saying you're more access to computer than me, or if you remember it. But he plays like his brother or best friend, something like that. And it's a very dentish type of role where you just look at him and go, there's something off about this guy as far as like you can't trust him. He's like a DA. Black Mass. Thank you very Chris Evans. Yeah, I actually did like it. I don't know why I said I was disappointed with it. I really liked it. I actually really liked Johnny Depp. I think it was just the third act felt very just rushed and a little conventional, stuff like that. And maybe I'm disappointed now looking back on it that it's not, well, look, I forgot the title, so maybe it didn't leave as big impact on me, but I remember liking it a lot when I first saw it, so maybe it's due for a watch. But he plays like a DA agent or something, some sort of lawyer, some dude law, and he's crooked. And I feel like Harvey, who he doesn't have to be crooked, but the crookedness could be his anger. They could do. Now, I don't like the version where he has the split personality before. That's, I love the Batman animated series. It's fine. I just think it's kind of cheesy when a guy has a split personality and then he later on gets blown up and half his past. Like, I don't like that. I don't I don't like when it's like there's stuff before the transformation and the transformation happens. You're like, oh, this is very convenient, hey? So let's see. S Bubs is messaging me in the Discord, but let's see. Chris Evans might have beat you or not. Let's see. Oh no, he's hitting me up with bad. Why is it Dark Knight Rises, Aaron Eckhart bad Photoshop? Man, he looked like good enough in the first one. Why? Like, who's doing this? In Dark Knight, they just needed, like, they just could have took that. Join our Discord. So, and it's one of these that Adam Driver as Reed Richards, I go, oh, wasn't going to be one of my first choices, but he's so good. He'll kill it. Absolutely. Hearing this, I go, man, I think he's the perfect choice. I did before was on the Oscar Isaac bandwagon, but I never thought that was going to happen. It's funny, like him and Ali have played 3 Marvel roles. I feel like he's a Marvel guy. Joel, now that I've heard it, I hate it because it's like anyone else that's going to be cast, I'm going to be very disappointed because I just feel like I see him like that's Harvey Dent. He could be crooked. He could be full of hatred. He can get anger, but he could also make you feel like you're pulling for him. And he has great, sad puppy dog eyes. Like, you would feel for this Harvey Dent. I really do. And I think that he would be the best one. Eckhart right now is Tommy Lee Jones. Funny enough, I fell asleep during it last night, but I was watching Batman Forever, and I hate that version so much. So he'd be great. The other one is Josh Hartnett. Let me take a drink here. How do I get this out here? I don't think he is a bad actor. And a lot of people, I understood their pitch, right? Of they saw this news and they're one, a fan, but two, they're like, well, he hasn't had a big limelight role in a while. That'd be a great pairing with Pattinson. That'd be fun because he was talked about for Nolan's Batman and he turned it down or something like that. It'd be he's not really done a big IP movie before. I just have never loved his acting. There's something about, and I've seen some performances that are better than others, but there's something about Hartnett's performances that I always find kind of wooden. Now, people can point me to some other ones and maybe I could say, oh, I haven't seen that, so I'll give it a chance. But I think, and I don't think he'd be awful for Dent, though, because I feel like Dent can be kind of wooden. Like, if you read Long Halloween, I feel like the first act or first, few holidays, he is a very wooden character and stern, so it would work. I don't think it's not one that I'd go, oh man. I would just go, that's all right. Like it'd be one where I'm always open, right? I think we were talking about this once on the vodka stream where Austin Butler was the rumor of Superman that week and everyone shit on it. I was like, I'm always willing to give it a chance, right? Like there's so many people, because I was the guy that I wasn't opposed to it, but Heath Ledger as Joker, and there's so many rumored names around the time where like, oh, why is this guy? Like, I don't know. So, and I learned my lesson there. So it's the same thing when I was, we've talked about this before with Kyle, who hopefully will be back on the podcast at some point here soon because he's moved back here. When Batfleck was cast, which I shouldn't say because he hates the term Batfleck, but I was all for it because I'm like, oh, let's see what he can do. So he's one where I'm like, yeah, I can give like a thumbs up, but it wouldn't excite me. Joel excites me. Josh, I'm like, okay, it's a solid actor. Let's see what he can do. And Superbad Mike, I don't know why I've not seen this show, and I probably should. And Superbad Mike, tell me, does it end on a cliffhanger or am I wrong? Penny Dreadful. I said he was great in Penny Dreadful. I have heard that before. Don't know why I haven't watched it because I'm a massive Ava Green fan. She's somebody, talk about underappreciated. I sometimes think it's because she has a bad agent. I don't know. I'm just going to say I feel like she's got put in some bad roles. To me, when you made a list, and I'd love to do this if the strike ever happens, we're going to do episodes like this. And people start thinking about this. Maybe I'll do this last year. The best castings that never happen. Ava Green as Selena Kyle's Catwoman. I love Pfeiffer. I love Zoe. I love Anne Hathaway. I think Ava Green as Catwoman would have been S tier, Hugh Jackman, Heath Ledger, Robert Downey type of casting, Ryan Reynolds type of casting, Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn type of casting. She just like fucking breathes Selena Kyle. She would have been fantastic. I love Ava Green for the acting, and because yes, I was a young man and I saw Casino Royale and I was like, wow, because that was exactly my type back in the day. My type was the black hair, more the gothy type of look and stuff like that. So that did a lot of things for me. S-Bob says, I think the only movie I've seen him in is The Facility because it's a Robert Rodriguez movie. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, and I think he was kind of fine in that, right? I agreed. That's what I recommend to people to watch him in. I love Hartnett in Bernaku. I don't think I've ever seen that one, Derek M. Ava Green is great and Betty Dreadful, so absolutely must watch for her, in my opinion. Okay. No, it had a proper ending. Only 3 seasons. Ava Green gives an all-time great performance. Oh, right. So it wasn't a cliffhanger. It was just that it ended, and then they didn't announce it was the final season, right? That's what it was. That was like kind of the thing. So I probably will, now that I'm working from home. I need to pick some shows and stuff like that. Yeah, I've heard Dalton was great as well. So I'll get to it. It just was one of those shows when it first started. I went, this could be bad. All I've heard is good things. So now I know it is. But at the first, I was like, is this going to work? But yeah. And so that's not it. Here's my thing. If Hartnett were to get cast, I would automatically bump that up the list. Okay, I've heard so much great things about him in here. I got to check it out. So I just like that when we are getting rumors, because they clearly are, I think, two faces in here. I believe Roku on that Harvey Dent's in here. Other people have said that before. The DA is missing. These two choices, and like I said, might be early, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because if it was supposed to start going in the fall, like November-ish, November, October, and now it's March, that is a pushback, but not a massive one. Let's say it was November, what's it, December, January, February, March, 4 months. That's not too bad in film world. Could get pushed back more because of strike. So I'd be for it. Anyone in the chat, let me know if you have any other suggestions. I love to hear for Two-Face ones, because I think Harvey, there's lots of ways you can play him, so that's a good thing about him. So I'm all for these ones if it were to happen. I'm happy Harvey's in there. Again, I don't know if he needs to be the main villain. I'm very excited to see who the main villain is, because now we never did a Travis Told You on this, but there was a rumor going around that we'll save it for the next topic here coming up, because, well, I guess I can tie it in. I'm about to take an ad break, because there's a Reddit leak months ago, right? And in this leak now, there's some things that seem to be proven true from other people. Actually, this is true. Actually, I've heard this too. One of them was that Matt Flanagan, is that his name? No, is it? I feel like I don't feel like his name is Matt. Matt Flanagan? No, I put in that. Matt Flanagan. No, it's a tight end. Why am I screwing that up? Doctor Sleep Director. Why am I screwing it up? Oh, of course it goes to director's cut. Mike Flanagan. Matt. Fuck. So thank you, S. Bobs. I'll give you the win. I'll give you the win. Yeah. The rumor is that he is directing Clayface. Of course, he said there's nothing to speak to it now, but yeah, no one's announcing deals right now, so no duh. And then the rumor was that it actually was going to be set in the Batman universe, which I find very interesting, because I don't think Mike Flanagan is going to do the actor Master of Disguise version. I feel like he'd want to do a body horror monster one, right? So the Batman 2, I'm just waiting. I'm very curious with Comic-Con if that's going to be the big... I don't need the... Like, I guess they didn't reveal... The trades revealed that the Riddler and Catwoman were in it, right? I don't think... Yeah, Flanagan... Or, sorry, now I'm mixing up. Reeves never came out and said those characters were in them. When they got cast, he did the tweets and said, hey, this is Eddie Nashton. This is Selena Kyle. But he never announced it beforehand, so I feel like it's going to be like that even if the trades are coughing it up. So I can't see them doing a giant shit monster, but I'd love to see them try. I'm the same thing as you, Chris. I've always said that where I don't see that, but like I said, if Mike Flanagan's directing it, I don't think he's directing a movie about just an actor turned, gone crazy, or like a master disguise. I feel like he'd want to do the monster, right? And like I said, I don't see it either. I would love, hey, we're going to talk about Spider-Verse box office. I was completely wrong about that. I'd love to be completely wrong about this. I would love a dark, gritty detective universe where dark shit is happening. That'd be fantastic, because that to me is the best of both worlds, because it's fantastical and the vibe I like. So we'll see. So let's take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back with some more DC news. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So let me pull this up here. Which one were we going with first? Oh, I can't find it. I hope everyone's having a good night here. Okay, so yeah, it's a bunch of different like DC stuff that I wanted to capture over the past weeks here. So it's transitioning into those writers. So I don't know who it is. I'm not, Mom. Let's look it up here. Supergirl rumored writer. I should have wrote her name down. But either way, there was Anna Noguera. Let's see, because she's apparently an actress / writer. So what this is again what I was talking about before. There was this Reddit post about a month ago, and I remember reading it, and I never got to cover it. And that was the time the Flanagan stuff was picking up more steam, and it had her name on. She's attached to do Supergirl recently from I think. What was it? It was something like official that actually happened, where it's like she has a DC project working on big things. So everyone's like, okay, that seems legit. And then there is more other people backed up that apparently, what is it? Damon Lindelof, which is not great time, but he's producing Green Lantern. Tom King is writing it. And there was also a few rumors that Tom King might be on Blue or Booster Gold, but not for sure. I don't know, and I'm going to pull up, because that's interesting actress, I swear. I'm going to pull up, but I don't think I've heard anything she's been in here, because like that's the I don't know like she has no writing credits. Now all it comes down to is a pitch. It's interesting, and that's been what I've heard, is that she's apparently a writer slash actress, so maybe there's some things this has happened before, right, where Christina Hodson had written some things and then Hollywood scooped up for a bunch of things because they liked those projects that she written. I don't know, that doesn't give me much to go off with that. So great for her if that's happening. I wish it was somebody that was a bit more established that I could say, hey, I got a footprint to their work. Maybe the director will be this. Maybe it's just a smaller script. I don't know. So that doesn't give me much to go on. Tom King. Now, I wanted to check this because not that it's like Jeff Johns, but like that was the whole dig against Jeff Johns. And Jeff Johns, obviously, a lot of other bad shit that went down with him, right? So not trying to defend him that way, but Woman of Tomorrow, right? Okay, so with Jeff Johns, it was this thing of like lots of people would always go like, "Oh, he is good. He's gonna be the fucking savior of DC." That didn't happen. And the other thing was like he couldn't really write movies. It seemed seemingly right. Now I'm not saying this is the thing with Tom King, and I'm not finding it anywhere. And IMDb, I think it's saying he's writing Superman, Woman of Tomorrow. That's not the case. He wrote the comic book it's based off of. He was working on the New Gods project with Ava DuVernay with DC, and then people have talked to him as like a consultant. Chat, if anyone knows, let me wrong. I don't think anything, and I think there was another project he was working on that didn't, get a green light or didn't happen. I don't think he's written anything that's come out, right? So it's the thing of, I love a lot of his work. His Batman stuff's a little iffy, but I love a lot of his work. I'm down to give it a shot. Sometimes it can transition, but we've talked about this, how it happened with Fantastic Beasts. There's many times for both ways. Some movie writers, script writers cannot write books and vice versa. And just because he's a great comic book writer, let's see, King has a bunch of TV projects and movie that have fell through. That's what I thought, Superman, where I feel like we keep hearing this, right? Now, the good thing is he keeps getting shots. So the idea is maybe people go, oh, the writing was good. It's just X, Y, and Z. That's why it fell through. But it's just that I can't be super excited because like, oh, he wrote comic books. He must be great. That doesn't mean anything. J.K. Rowling, not talking about politics things, J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, should have been writing great stuff for Fantastic Beasts. She did not. It shows that she could not do a screenplay, in my opinion, and many others, right? So just because he's written great comic books, that doesn't mean he's a shoe and be like, oh, he's going to be a fantastic writer for this HBO show. So it's interesting. I would have liked if Lindelof was the writer, but now I think it's a bit more probably better if people didn't read that Lost article. Lots of bad things. Lots of things that he said, it was a bad, like those were mistakes or something. He said, oh, I don't remember this. Bad timing. I think it will blow over because it's not the worst stuff. It's some insensitive. Definitely, and I'm not saying not racism bad, but it's not something where he's sticking to it or something really bad came out and said, hey, these were mistakes I probably made or have made. Didn't get it. And people can't make mistakes, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying witch hunt the guy, but it's just the timing of maybe people want to back way. Some people have even thought that was maybe some of the reason why Disney actually didn't go with Lindelof. There's a lot of people say it was just a script, but some people have a conspiracy theory that article was going to come out, and they're like, let's not have him directing the Ray or a part of the Ray movie, who now apparently has a rumored villain of Idris Elba. That's something that we'll talk about another time. But so we'll see about that. But apparently they got writers, so that's good. Well, they don't got writers right now because they're on strike. But again, they're probably writing stuff. The other one is Bill Skarsgard. So who would put this out? Somebody, I think it was a combo of Snyder put it out, or I think it was somebody put it out, and then Snyder commented, or there's a a big kind of back and forth, and not against they were arguing, just like other people were saying, like I can't remember who started and who finished it. Either way, there was a rumor going around that, hey, Bill Skarsgård is attached to something in the DCU, but doesn't have to do with the Muschietti project, right? So it's not, anything to do with Flash 2, something's happening. Batman Brave and the Bold, which we assume that's, since I haven't done Trash Told You, every scooper is reporting it's happening. It's just not a done deal because the strike, again. Just for the strike part. I'm happy with him being directing. You can go back to last Trash Told You. I think that's a great choice. I'll reserve my judgment completely till after the Flash this Friday, but I'm pretty confident. I think he's the man for the job. Or the person for the job, because I didn't need a man for it. It could be anybody. What else was I going on about there? Oh, so it's not that. That's what everyone would assume, right? Muschietti, Skarsgard, but the rumors that he's playing Swamp Thing. Now, Swamp Thing, I've read the classic Grant Morrison run, or Alan Moore, slip of the tongue there, Alan Moore, a long time ago. I wanted to hold off because I wanted to do it for Comic Virgins one day, and hopefully we bring that show back. I would love to. That's probably a show that would come back if the strikes happen and we don't have content. So, because I saw some pushback, people going like, is he right for that casting? And I don't feel like I've read enough and most recently enough to comment on that. I just usually go hey, Bill Skarsgard, is the person playing Swamp Thing a good actor? I think better than it deserves, because I think there's a lot of people go, I'm going to be in these, like, I'm sure there'll be a portion where he's a human version, but I'm going to be this big plant guy, mocap guy, prosthetics guy, stuff like that. Skarsgard has shown he'll do with it, and he'll show he can get a good performance out of it. I think that's really good. I think the pairing of him and Mangold would be really good. I think Skarsgård can bring like the tortured soul element of Swamp Thing. I think he can do that. The idea of he's a smaller guy, he turns into like a fucking tree monster. Why does he have to? It doesn't matter if he's a smaller guy. I don't care if it's like a little person playing. Like if you had the acting chops and the power, you got it. And that's what Skarsgård does have. And it's interesting. He did that, and then he did it. And then he did Eternals, where he was just like a mocap villain. And now he's doing this. He likes this type of stuff. And he's a talented guy. He can get through the prosthetics and the acting and the makeup and everything like that. So I'm all for that. I'm all for the talent. Because, again, a good thing as far as Lindelof and Tom King, that is talent. Skarsgård would be talent. It's weird. And even Snyder, who did report this, admitted that the reason he felt, even personally, his scoop could be wrong is, it's very odd they would be talking about this now, because apparently the rumor of things going for Mangold is Johnny Cash project that's next, Star Wars, and then this. And that makes sense because it was the last of that slate that they showed, right? Or the chapter. So it's a little far off. Maybe it's just conversations. Maybe it's just saying, hey, it's a Bill Skarsgård type. Again, like we were talking about with all those other people in the casting and stuff like that. So we'll see. I'd be for that. It's a to me, a better actor than you might get, because I could see a lot of people turn that down and go, I'm not going to be fucking Swamp Thing unless it's a voice and I get to sit in a booth all the time, right? And maybe that's what Skarsgård is doing, but I don't think so. I think they do the whole mocap and stuff, like a Beauty and the Beast, Gollum, Planet Apes, stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll see, but that's always a good thing. He's already in the MCU, I guess, and he's already in Deadpool, Fox, so I guess he could go to Sony, who he would have been a great Cletus Cassidy, but we got Woody Harrelson. I was also thinking Andy Serkis for Swamp Thing. That's not bad, Super Mike, but my thing is with Andy Serkis, I wonder, so he did Gollum, he did Caesar, and he did Snoke. Has he done, not counting a recurring character, has he done any more mocap? Because I feel like he's done, right? Like, I feel he's directing, and he was in Black Panther and stuff like that. I feel like he might be past the mocap for the most part. I'm not sure if he's coming back at all for Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Apes. I don't think so, but maybe there could be something there. But I feel that he probably won't do it now. I think the original actor and design for the show would work really well for the movie. I agree. I don't think they'd get the original actor just because it's the movies, and even in the fucking Mario movie, they need Chris Pratt. And I'm fine with Chris Pratt's voice, but they need stars, right? So at least Bill Skarsgård is... He's not like a mega star, but he's that guy where people go, oh, I remember. Or he's always going to be, hey, he's Pennywise from It, right? At least it's start with the other guy, Derek Myers, former Jason. Doesn't really work. Look, I agree with you, fanboy. I think that look works really well. So we'll see. And then finally, for the DC side of stuff, it sounds like they are doing their Superman screen testing next weekend. They were the finalist list, and it's interesting because I was talking about this on Vlogger stream where I still can't remember it. Let's see. I know he says, no, I mean the guy who played for Swampy Thing, not Alec Holland. No, I mean the guy that played for Swampy Thing, not Alec Holland. Oh, so you mean just like Derek Myers, the actor and stuff like that for that. Yeah, but I feel like again, Skarsgård. I think he just, if it's him, I think he just wants to do prosthetics. That's like a weird thing, but like it sounds if you go from doing Pennywise to this, usually you do Pennywise, but okay, I'm fucking done. I don't want to do any of this more shit. If he jumps over, I think they're gonna use him as much as possible, but we'll see. I don't think if you keep that one under budget, you need a huge star. Even Bill Skarsgård, not a huge star, but we'll see. Yeah, Superman Finalist. I was saying this where on Vodka Stream, and I can't remember if we figured out the name. I don't think we did, so chat can let me know. But this is old. I remember in 2015 when they were talking about the rumor names for BVS, and it was Brolin, Gosselin, and someone else. And Affleck is the one that got it, not rumor at all. And I'm very curious to see if that happens for these. But right now, and again, it's interesting. Holt is apparently screen testing for Superman. We don't know if he is just Superman. There's been Super say he's just for Superman. Some Super says just for Luthor. Maybe it's a bit of both. I don't know. As you guys know, you can go back to that first cast. I'm all for him as Luthor. Superman, I really have no interest in. That to me is not a great choice for many reasons. I think it's kind of a boring choice. And I just don't think that's Holt's strength. Excuse me. I don't think that's Holt's strength, in my opinion, to play the do-gooder main lead, right? Could prove me wrong. He's a good actor. So, again, it's not the worst. It's not like when we get certain actors cast, go, uh-oh. So, I'm going to give it a chance if it happens, but we'll see. So, it was him. I can't remember. I screwed this up in Vodka Stream. His name was like Tony Britton or something like that. He was like a late, up-and-come runner, and then David Corn Sweat. So we'll see if it's any of them. Obviously, the internet, I think, wants David Corn Sweat. It's just because he looks like Henry Cavill to me. That's why I'm kind of iffy. I kind of hope it's someone else, not them. But Corn Sweat, that one clip that's been going around from everybody, like, this is Superman on Twitter. Yeah, like, he has the G golly good guy, and he has a voice, too, that felt like, oh, this to me would sound like Clark. So that's good. And then one other thing I'm kind of happy about is on the lowest side, there's the list of people. It's the same list as before. Sans... Samara Weaving. I'm happy about that because, as you know, I think Samara Weaving could have a bigger role somewhere. I don't think Lois Lane is. I think she can lead a franchise where Lois Lane is not leading that franchise. That's the one where I said this again on Vox Stream. Go check it out. I hate to be repeating myself, but for example, I can't remember last time there was a casting where everybody wanted it so much and see if it's going to actually happen. You know, I feel like everyone's just been like, okay, rumor choice and Rachel Brosnahan, whatever, Rachel from Marvelous Miss Maisel. Everyone's heard that and just went, oh yeah, that's the one. And I've even been convinced from like clips I've seen of her now. So we'll see, but I still am on the bandwagon of a lot of people that it's testing out. I think even if the trades scoop it, I think San Diego Comic-Con, you are going to get your Fantastic Four and you're going to get your Superman and Lois Lane. Maybe Alex. But I think you save it for that. Excuse me, that sun is getting to me. I didn't make iguana pills. So I think they're saving it for that. And I'm interested. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen. If it's David Corn Sweat, I'm like, hey, it's a newcomer. You know, you got to prove yourself. If it's Holt, that's going to be very, very interesting to me to see how that all goes down. But again, he's still a good actor. So we will see lots of stuff happening. So let's take our last ad break, and then we're getting into some Sony Marvel. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So where to start? Let's start with your boy Eden Crow. Spider-Verse. Weeks. Whole year. I have said Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It'll do a bit better, but for everyone thinking, yeah, been a while since Sony rumors. We're going to talk a little bit. There's not been too many, but at least we're talking about. I remember the black. Yeah, remember the black. I remember that Black Cat plot leak says S Bobs. Yeah, so there's going to be one rumor that we're going to talk to. You can see in the chat about there's a certain person coming to the MCU or in the description. I'll save that to the back because there's some spoiler details for some projects that might happen, stuff like that. But if you've seen Across the Spider-Verse, you're good. I'll just say that for all this conversation, right? So we're going to get into the more rumor side at the end because it's interesting some of these Sony moves that could be happening. But for as long as I could say, I said Across the Spider-Verse, I don't see it having the jump people think. I think it's done well, but I don't see, because again, I have kids, but I don't have a bunch of people where a Top Gun Avatar or even stuff that gets caught on later seen, oh, I saw Spider-Verse, and we're in a bubble, right? My kids love it, so I have kids that love that, my geek friends and everything like that, podcaster friends. But again, the people that said it was going to have a great box office, fantastic prediction, because this weekend, so I didn't cover box office last weekend. Last weekend, 120 is like 225, something like that opening weekend. It was like, 6 times opening weekend for the first one. Oh, God damn. As Mia says in Pulp Fiction, and I say, God damn. That is fucking impressive. Whatever you want to slice it, even if the second weekend drop sucked, it is impressive for that. And then the second weekend comes, fucking 52%. And for comic book movies, second best hold since like Guardians. Because what was here? Let me pull it up here. Because this was the whole thing, right? Since the pandemic's come back, it's been almost more, and a little bit before, but it's been this big thing. And I'd always say, the person that brought this to my attention, a big shout out to him. I always love him on Twitter. I haven't got to be on Fox stream with him for a while. I don't know if the time changes affected him as well, but Stephen Colbert, I keep hearing people say it all the time, but he was the one that brought up, it's not just like an MCU problem, it's just like a movie problem in general. Like, look at all these movies that are having big opening weekends, and then look at their second weekend, and it was like always a like 58% higher. Most of them were 60% drops. Like, look at this. So this is descending order from top to bottom. Guardians Galaxy 48. Okay, Spider-Verse was 54, but still fucking 54. Like, that 50% around them, that's considered. When you start getting up to that, even 55, 60, it kind of depends. It's definitely the 60 and on. To me, I think it's more like a 58, 60. If you're close to the 60, not bad. I know I'm saying just a lot of numbers, but 55, I still think that's respectable here. So that's a really good drop. But listen to these. 48% Guardians of the Galaxy, 54% Spider-Verse, 63 Black Panther, Venom 2, 65, Doctor Strange 67, Spider-Man 3, No Way Home, 68%, Thor 68%, Shazam 69%, Ant-Man 70%. All those films, like, look at that, 48 and 54. Everything else is 63 and over. Whatever, that's super impressive. So now we've had that, we had Top Gun, we had Avatar and Mario, and Guardians. So there's been like 5 films that have only done that. I don't think this thing's gonna hit $1 billion. I don't want to underestimate it now, but I don't think it's gonna get that far. But still, the other point is the entire box office of the first one has already been made in a week, a couple days, but a week and a couple days. Fascinating stuff. And that's one where I'll say, that completely caught on. Now, I agree. There's been this narrative of people saying, hey, you should do, like, look at Dungeons and Dragons, for example, which I said was going to eat it. Didn't eat it, but it, ate some of it. Didn't do the greatest. Probably made them just broke even, or maybe lost a little bit of money. But that's something that everybody I talked to loves, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. The Shazam was a 69% drop, but what was the opening weekend? Yeah, fuck, that's so bad too. Like, usually it's like, at least No Way Home, it's like, 68% drop, but it's like massive, like, what is it, like 150 opening week, like, it's huge. Shazam was like a 30. Yeah, that's Bob's a good point there. That was brutal. Shazam. That's but you never know, right? Because that is the reverse. I understand the studio, because you have something like Spider-Verse, where the first one caught on, did very, like, won an Oscar, trending a lot on Netflix. Let's give it a sequel. 2, thankfully. Let's see what happens. Sony banked on it. It fucking worked. You can make the same case for Shazam. Now, it's different because Shazam, I think, is very generic. It's not the same as Spider-Verse. But as a studio, they're going to look at it and go, hey, that was a first movie that was well received by critics and fans, especially critics. Had a modest box office, but I bet if we do a second one, more will come. And to me, I had the same experience of Shazam that I did with Spider-Verse, that if you didn't have a kid and you weren't a big Marvel fan, I didn't hear people talking about it. It was, it's an animated Spider-Man movie, stuff like that. I did not hear. Same thing with Shazam. I did not meet people that were not in our realm talking about Shazam. So I thought they were going to eat it. Shazam ate it, and I didn't think Spider-Verse was going to eat it. I thought it would do the same or better than the first one. Technically, I'm still right. No, the weekend, it's going to make a bunch more. Like, it's word of mouth, it's showing, helps. Good word of mouth with Guardians in this. So we'll see what The Flash does first and second weekend. But it's a perfect time right now as far as kids' movies. Elemental's coming out, but that doesn't have the hype. And we're about to go in the summer. Me and the kids, we want to see it one more time. It just has that effect where it's such an enjoyable movie. So yeah, massive fucking weekend, Super Mike says, D&D came out at a terrible time. No time for word of mouth to spread before Mario came out. Yeah, but like, look at Spider-Verse, right? You could argue the same thing. I'm not saying it didn't come at a terrible time, but Spider-Verse had Transformers right after, and then Flash right after. Elemental's a kid movie. It easily could have been fucking trounced over, and that's what I thought, right, too. And D&D, It's like there's certain video games like with that foam world. To me, I know people love Dungeons and Dragons. I just looked at it and go, I don't think the world's going to support this. I just don't. There's certain brands that are just not too popular with the mainstream worldwide. It's like with World of Warcraft, right? Massive video game, did great in China, but everywhere else I was like, for at least the quality, and it can be a great time. It can be a well-made great time, but people can have tons of great time watching tons of shows on their TV nows, right? I just never thought it was going to happen. It's Elemental over. Yeah, I'm excited to see it with the kids. I'll definitely check out Elemental. I don't think you'll get a Geek First review. It'll maybe be like a After 9 or on Trash Told You, because I now have to see The Flash. I'm seeing it with Kirkland and his friends and maybe Taylor. But Emily and Gwen have to go practice for a dance show, so that sucks. I was bummed about that. But on the Sunday, we're going to go see it together, and then Elementals we'll see another day. So there'll be a later one, but I'm in no rush. Seems fine. So, but yeah, Spider-Verse fucking killing it. And that's where I'm not sure if it's these rumors, whatnot. So there's been lots of stuff about the multiverse and all these things going around. Oh, Barbie has $100 million budget. Not bad at all. That's maybe like a little higher, but not too bad. There's been these rumors now where it's just like, so as you've seen across Spider-Verse, this tree pops up, right? Looks very multiverse like MCU. Lord Miller said they've had lots of conversations with Feige, that Feige's been great, and and then I can't remember who put it out there. Was it Cosmic Circus? I think they put out there, who has a pretty good track record, even though they did say they got one thing debunked. It was like, oh, it's for sure going to be longer than Across Spider-Verse. The third one is, and one of the directors, I think it was Phil Lord, came and said, absolutely, like, it could be, but we're not purposely making it longer. Like, this is a factually wrong statement. So I was like, okay, you win something, you lose some. But I think they said something, and someone else said something as well, too. And they covered a Marvel Alliance where there's rumors going around now that in Secret Wars, Spider-Verse characters will be featured. Two things. One, I would find that very funny if like Spider-Verse the animated series or the animated movies get covered in these, and Venom doesn't, and Morbius and stuff. That's just great. And two, that is exciting. I don't think it'd be much, and it's the same way as like, because I heard some people tell this Vodka stream, and I've heard other people propose this theory as well too, right? And to me, it's the worst thing ever. Beyond the Spider-Verse must mean we're going to get into live action stuff, and they're probably going to use the movies to introduce our live action Miles and connect to the universe. I don't know this, and this is where I don't want to be that guy, but I agree with people when they say, sometimes the MCU has poisoned the people's mind. I do not want the Spider-Verse or Beyond the Spider-Verse to be, how do we connect to Venom and Morbius? How do we get a live action Miles? I want it to be about its own fucking story. And anyone being like, man, they really should use this Miles in this story to connect it to Venom and Morbius because it has this great Spider-Man, then that could be in this universe. How would you, I don't know. I get some people like those. I know April, you might be listening to this, not trying to offend you, but I think you might even agree with this. Would you want the Miles Morales? And April, if you are listening on the Patreon Discord, please let me know, because you're someone that loves the Venom movies, right? So I want to know, would you want this Miles Morales, his end of his story in this trilogy, to be, we end in live action, he's in the Venomverse? I don't think so. To me, I think everyone would feel very unsatisfied with that ending. Even to me, this Miles becoming live action, I know Shanique Moore said he wants to like, actually, is it Shamik Moore, or is that the guy from FBI and Criminal Minds? But either way, he's like, oh, I want to lose weight so I can get in shape and be Miles. Dude, you're 30. If it's a multiverse thing and appearing in Secret Wars, yeah, sure. But if we're going to get this whole Tom Holland like mentor as a young Miles, and the Miles is older than him, like, I think that's not going to go the route you think. So I think if they appeared, it would be characters in the background like, oh, look, it's Miguel, look, it's Miles, it's them in costume, that'd be it. I don't think it would be animated, even though with WandaVision and She-Hulk, they've started to be more experimental. Would they do that for Secret Wars? Now, you could argue Secret Wars, they want to get weird and wild, but would they do that? Would they introduce animated characters in that? I don't think so. I wouldn't mind it. That's one of the things I like with Across the Spider-Verse, that it's a mix and they don't even care. They just like, yeah, that's a live action person. Cool. So I'd be completely down for it. I just don't know if Feige and team's going to do that, but maybe they are. Maybe they look at Spider-Verse and go, hey, these are so good. We're going to have, Thanos come back and he's going to get kicked by an animated character, Fanboy Clay says it wouldn't be a great end for his character arc, in my opinion. Me either. Like, to me, and I don't think Miles has to die. I just mean, like, if there's two things. One, I think it takes away because it almost makes it feel like, oh, animation's still not good enough. These three movies were a graduation to get up to being live action. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Foggy forcing Raimi to add animated characters in post. I suppose would it be forcing though? Because I feel like Raimi would be all down for it. If they pitched him before and he'd be like, fuck, I get to add animated Spider-Man. Like, I feel like the Evil Deadness, he's going to tap into it. For the love of God, please keep Miles away from the Venomverse. I'd take Haley Steinfeld, though. I would take her as that. And again, I'm not saying, too, is like, let's say the guy who plays Miles was young enough to play Miles. I'd be fine if he played the live-action version. I just don't want the Spider-Verse movies to like people saying, oh, Beyond, he's going to team with them. I'm fine for a live action segment, but even the directors, or it was Lord Miller, said they had a big extended sequence that was live action and they felt that just didn't play well. I don't want him just to become live action. The whole point of this past weekend and the weekend before is look how great these fucking anime movies can do. This is opening better than majority of the comic book movies, like just on par with Guardians, right? Could have a bigger opening Flash, which would be fucking wild to me with Michael Keaton. Like, that shows that it doesn't need to be live action. I'm not saying animate everything, but to me, it becoming more live action, and that doesn't excite me. From what we saw with these two movies, we're like, yeah, and guess what? In the third one, there's going to be a whole arc where he's in live action. No, that's not why I watch these movies. Make your live action Miles, like do that and stuff. Family says, if we see a live action Miles separate from the animated, I'm cool with that. Put him anywhere, but this character can't turn live action. And I agree with that. And yeah, I'm not the put him anywhere camp because I don't want him to be in the Venomverse. It's the same way as Andrew. I'm somebody, again, it all comes down different strokes for different folks, right? The two Venoms, Morbius, just because Craven's rated R, that doesn't make me excited. I think Madam Web's going to be a fun mess. I don't want Miles linked to this universe. I don't want him to be a Spider-Man. I'd much rather him be in the MCU and then do that stuff there, which speaking of, so again, this is some spoilers for Across the Spider-Verse. Nothing major. It's a cameo. You know what I'm talking about. But if you've not seen it, tune out, and we'll talk about some things that's going on here. So, Donald Glover. It was interesting because that fucking For You section on Twitter, right? I tried to, because I feel like and again, Stephen Colbert, he needs to listen to this podcast and give me a shout out because he had said something to me, which I agree with, that the For You section is almost on purpose tries to find you things to engage you, to argue with, right? They almost push people that you completely disagree with in your feed. Luckily, I'm past that. I'm not into the Twitter wars. I see Fanboy Clay, you got into one last week. I know Ray from Flight Class, he says he doesn't do anymore. And I never did the quote. I'm not down for the quote between this, that. I got too much stuff to go on. I don't want to do any of that. So usually what I do is just scroll past, or I just do the show few, don't show this Twitter again because it's just somebody trolling. And I don't mind if someone says Thor: Love and Thunder sucks. Not that. I think it's more there's some stuff where it's just hey, this feels very agenda motivated, right? So anyways, the For You section also obviously picks up on news articles and things he follows and puts them that way. I had seen it was early morning. I think it was yesterday or Friday. A scooper, news algorithm, whatever, somebody of lower tier, I think it was a lower tier scooper, put out that, hey, the Hypno Hustler, what was it? The Hypno Hustler, that was a project Donald Glover was working on. That musical Spider-Man villain has been shelved in favor of Donald Glover portraying or being a part of the MCU with the Prowler. Obviously, we got him Across the Spider-Verse as a Prowler. And I went, and including myself, I go, finally, it took so long for them to do it. They get to do it here. Where some people, so I saw that account, went, I've never seen them, so who knows what that means. And then I saw I saw two other scoopers in the C tier, but still say, yeah, they've heard similar things. And it was just a time you have clearly with these people get news, they have similar sources, right? Who knows if it's true? It's C tier, so don't hold your breath. And I'm not holding my breath because I'm sure Sony might make these films, but that was the rumor going around that, and I think it was, was it Alex from Cosmics or something like that? He had pointed out that he had heard that and he heard Scorpion was returning. I, again, love everything about the things we're hearing about Spider-Man 4. Of this idea of it's Fisk, street level. So if the Prowler and the Scorpion are his fucking goons, awesome. You can introduce a younger Mile, awesome. If Daredevil's in there, awesome. So I'm down for all that. And I'm down for Don Glover. They fucking set it up in Homecoming. Do it. He's a great actor. They don't got to copy the... there's different origins for, Uncle Aaron. Sometimes he's a complete asshole, right? So I feel like Glover and the team can do something different. I think that's a good connection. I think Glover and Holm together would just be lots of fun too. And that's Film Odyssey, who I put like a little higher, like a C, not a C plus, but there's like somewhere in the middle of a C plus. He had put up months ago that he had heard Miles is going to be in this trilogy. I think we covered that on a GeekVerse episode. And he said again that he said, hey, I've heard some things have changed, but the Miles thing that's the plan. And I could see I'd love that. If we get another trilogy with Holland leading into Miles, Holland either leaves or dies, and then it's Miles, MCU and Sony keep working together, fantastic. That's the route I prefer, other than Sony doing a live action Miles, because that's scary. So there's just been lots of scuttlebutt around this, and I'm completely down for this. I like that. Now, the thing that's interesting to me is it started with a few scoopers. Again, it's more the lower tier ones, but it's a lot of them saying the same thing, that El Muerto was canceled with Bad Bunny. One scooper put it as they just wanted to lock down Bad Bunny, gave him this, and they didn't have much plans. The word was that was gone, and then there was words funny that this Hype No Hustler thing was gone, and then now next week after Cross Spider-Verse, it was like, yeah, it's because he's gonna be doing some Prowler sort of stuff. The Hype No Hustler thing and Prowler, you could chalk that up to. Let's just to me, the cancellation of 2, which is rumored, that to me raises a red flag. It's actually a green flag for me, but it raises something, right? If it was just Hype No Hustler and Prowler, I go, okay, they talked about that, might happen down the line, but they want to do this MCU stuff with Miles and the Prowler, all this stuff, the origin. Okay, I can see this, makes sense, get them in there, put that film back shelf. The fact that Hype No and El Muerto is possibly being canceled, which I think is a good idea, because I don't know what it is. I don't think it's going to be because Spider-Verse, they saw, oh man, look at all this box office. We got to cash in and get nothing but Spider-Verse projects. Sure, do that. Sure, do more animated stuff. But that's not the complete answer. You can still make money live action. Hype No Hustler and fucking El Muerto is not the way to go. That's not the projects to push. But I don't know with El Muerto if it is... Is it a Bad Bunny thing? Is he too busy? Is it they don't have good scripts for it? Or I would wonder with all these, they've all been scrapped to fund the Madam Web's $340 million bill. Oh, God. I hope not. Even though, not again about that, but technically, if there's scripts being written for these movies, they already paid for some of these movies, right? So maybe they'll just get made anyways if there's a writer's strike. It's like, well, we have these scripts. But my hope, and this is what I told Chris Bau, who is, it's funny, he was more pessimistic than usually I am. My hope was that Sony is reading the tea leaves on one Spider-Verse, of course, seeing, okay, this is the way to go. And again, more Spider-centric people. If there's some sort of deal that you can't do a Spider-Man film while they're partnering with the MCU, fine. I get it. I know they can't come out there and say that. I still think it shouldn't count. If it's like you can't do Peter Parker and even Miles, fine, okay. Scarlet Spider, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, Miguel O'Hara, like a lot of these main characters that we saw in Spider-Verse, these are like prime people. They're doing the Silk TV show, so I agree with that one. These are prime characters that you could tell Spider stories with that don't have to be Peter Parker. Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, like that'd be the perfect one. Completely different universe where Peter Parker dies in the first movie, first act, wherever he may be. Easy, done. So it's like if they're allowed to, then they haven't been doing it. My hope is maybe they say, okay, we should do more Spider people projects. This is where the money's at. And I think another thing is, we talked about this a little bit before, right? Where beginning of the year was, could superhero fatigue be a thing? Even though Black Panther made $800 million, could it be a thing? Cool, sure, let's play it out. Let's not talk about Black Panther tonight. Lots of bad news around that. But, we'll see how that all plays out with Namor. People, Shazam happened. Okay, Ant-Man happened, of course. And Super Pets was another one thrown there. Sure, I guess. So that was the big argument. Is there fatigue? Guardians, everyone, like myself. And even I'm excited with some predictions because I said I don't think it's going to make 800. Made 800. So it didn't have a big opening like 2, but it's having great legs. Because what did Guardians G2? I just want to see what it's final box office was there. Don't search it up, anybody. So 869. To me, pretty good. Even if we're to stop now, Guardians, because I don't know if it's going to make an additional 69 million. Just to be 69 million less, to me, that's a win. Especially with the tracking was lower and it opened lower. That shows the good legs. So then Spider-Verse along came the Spider-Verse. Comes along, massive opening, great legs, great weekend. So now it's like, okay, you can't say it's that, but I think it's like what we talked about. Oh, sorry, I got a mini headache, but I think it's probably because the sun, the burntness. So I think we talked about this at some point. Maybe it was in Guardians, Travis told you, where I said to me the golden age for the studio's box office was 2016 to 2019. Sure, there's definitely some superhero movies that underperform, maybe some that bomb. But that was the best case scenario of, hey, if you got a superhero DC or Marvel movie, fucking put it out now and you can make as much money as possible. BVS and Suicide Squad, for example, terribly reviewed critically, very mixed fan-wise. Both almost made $1 billion. Still think BVS should have made $1 billion, but still, it didn't, right? All these movies, Shazam 1, multiple films are making $1 billion movies. Captain Marvel, $1 billion movies. So that was the heyday, and you could say it's because of COVID that stopped it. You could say it's because of Endgame that kind of, put a damper on the Marvel side, and then DC hit some hits or miss. Sure, but you can't deny that to me, 2016, 2019, that was the put out whatever you got. And now I feel like Sony seeing their own Morbius, seeing Shazam, seeing Ant-Man, where as a studio, you would look at it and go, wow, Marvel does it again. Disney does it again. Ant-Man 3 comes out bigger than the other ones. Big opening. Wow, good for them. They know what they're doing over there. And then the second weekend drops and it makes less than the first and second. That to me is, I hope it's a comp. Maybe it's one or the other, but I hope it's a combo of what I said the first thing of let's do more of the Spider people. And then secondly, not everything you put out's a guaranteed hit now or a guaranteed just break even. So they could look at El Muerto and they could look at Blue Beetle and go, Blue Beetle. Freudian slip there, Van Wick Lights, because I was talking about before, and that's my next worry about that one. And look at Hypno Hustler and go, okay, these are risky projects. These don't have a guaranteed hit. We kind of ate it with Morbius. Let's not take the risk. Let's not put ourselves in that position where we could lose money. And I think that's a smart thing. Cancel before it gets too far ahead. Cancel it for a project. To me, I don't like the Venom movies, but Venom's Venom made sense to me. It's a character that everyone knows. Everyone says Black Spider-Man before there was a Miles Morales, right? That's the black evil Spider-Man, right? The black version. Everyone knew that character. If you're going to do heroes, jump more into that Rolodex of, I don't want it, but do a Doc Ock, do a Superior Spider-Man. I'm sure Brendan's jumping around somewhere. Do that. You got to hit on the projects and IP that people know. I would not want a Green Goblin, the Goblin King. You can go back to our, what episode was that? There's some episode where we had ChatGPT write a Green Goblin movie for us. And it was fantastic. It was funny. I think it was the Spider-Verse one. Go back. It was very fun. But I don't want a Green Goblin movie, but that'd be more successful than a Morbius and a Hypno Hustler and a fucking El Muerto and stuff like that. So I think they might be reading the tea leaves, even less than the Spider people, because again, that could still be, we're not allowed to do that. We have a deal with them that they don't want a solid Spider-Man film. Fine, fair enough. That's the deal you made. Maybe they'll change it on the next deal, but maybe they will be more picky if not everything is promised to do well like it used to. So let's pick what happens. Spider-Verse prediction. Thank you very much, S. Bubs. Great episode. Great ChatGPT. We got to do I think at the end of the year, I got to do a best of that. Now they'll have some time, hopefully. Super Mike says 2009 was peak year for box office, everything. Absolutely. How many $1 billion films were there? I don't think we'll see numbers again like that again for a long time, if ever. Of course, you never want to do that ever because, like you said, or you said for a long time, you never want to say ever because, we could be dead. That could happen. I'll say this, and maybe Super Mike, I don't know your age. I could say maybe my lifetime. I know people bring up there's 2026 of that hits or 2025, but that was a year just everything was flourishing. So I could see my lifetime will never have what was it? Let's bring it up here. I think it was, what was it, 8 or 9? Let's see, top box office. I said top box office. This will end us off here, and then we'll close it out. Top box office. It's like $8 or $9 billion movies, right, or something like that. So let's see here. Why you give me this shit? I want the worldwide box office mojo. Of course, that's the first link. Terrible, terrible site. Let's see. It used to be great. Oh man. Let's see. Gross. Can we get here? Jeez Louise. Top grossing movies. The numbers. So I searched it. Is this going to give me what I want? Yeah. Not exactly. It's giving me it's giving me the domestic. Okay, sorry, Google. I'll put in worldwide. Anyways, it was a year of like 8 to 9 different. Here we go. Okay, Box Office Mojo does have one. So, excuse me, $9 billion movies, and you got to look at this where you look at Avatar was an anomaly, right? Where Avatar came out third best film, whatever. Take Avatar out. And I guess you got Jurassic World Dominion. But back in the day, and especially maybe more so, okay, the norm, it wasn't even, when I started to love film, when The Dark Knight hit $1 billion, that was a massive achievement. That was huge. It was not the norm to get a $1 billion movie a year. Then it became the norm to get one, and then maybe one or two. The fact that we had a year where you had 9. So 9 of these movies could have been the top film of their year coming out a different year. It's fucking crazy. Endgame 2.7, Lion King 1.6, Frozen, biggest anime movie of all time, doesn't look like Mario's gonna reach it, 1.4, Spider-Man Far From Home 1.1, Captain Marvel 1.1. Fuck, the fact that literally Captain Marvel only made $3 billion less than Spider-Man Far From Home. Crazy. Joker, $1 billion. Rise Skywalker, $1 billion. Toy Story 4, $1 billion. Aladdin, $1 billion. And then the lowest after that, Jumanji, The Next Level, $800 million, which I always agree with S. Bubs when he's brought this up a few times of like, why the fuck hasn't The Rock done a new Jumanji? It made $800 million. What are you sleeping on? What the fuck are you doing? Like $800 million. Come on, get on it. Not Hobbs, get on that. But let's see. SO says, I've already been working on the just chat GPT moments. Haven't posted GV compilation since Big Dan Land. Oh man, yeah. Maybe let's say that for a year end, man. We will gift you a free month of Patreon at the phase. We'll give you a top phase 5th tier for that because that's actually where you don't need to be doing. And I'd probably rip some of that audio for the GV best of and stuff like that. But on the house, we will give you the Patreon producer tier for that one, and you can pick a movie we'll retro because that's a lot of work there. So thank you, guy in the chair. But yeah, like Superman Mike says, I don't know if we'll ever see $9 billion movies again. That's what I'll say in my lifetime. Inflation, all that stuff in my lifetime, who knows? So hopefully they're learning. Maybe we can't get away with everything. So that is Trash Told You. Next time we'd be back is probably after Flash because this week's busy now. We got other stuff dropping. So after Flash would be the time because I definitely want to talk about the box office there because that's going to be a spicy conversation in the box office. I can't wait to have that one. So thank you to everyone in the chat for tuning in on just like a random Sunday night when I was doing this. Love you all. Love you all listening. Gonna be a fun week. We got the Flash this week. Check out that spoilers review. I don't even think I pimped that. That's going to be a very, very fun time. Might just be me and Kirkland, but it's going to be a fun time. So thank you very much. And I promise when you hear from the next, it'll not be boring.